Nate, Trump wants to fire the Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook. So that's a bit of interesting news. Usually presidents don't really interfere with the Fed, the Federal Reserve, like that particularly. There are precedents. It's not completely unheard of for presidents to actually really get involved with the inner workings of the Federal Reserve, but it's usually very, very light touch, and it's usually very, very rare. There's some stories of when Lyndon Johnson tried to put pressure on the Federal Reserve in various ways, but just Trump now seems to be really wielding his power, really wielding it, and just coming out and saying to this Lisa Cook, who was a total Biden pick. She's only been there since like 2022. She's a complete Biden Democrat shill type pick. And he's just saying, I just want to sack you. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's all part of this arc of Trump actually draining the swamp a bit, right? Getting John Bolton's home and office raided, and getting the DOJ and the FBI. It might not have been him personally, but dealing with Bolton. They're accusing this Lisa Cook of having mortgage irregularities, and it's the same thing they're accusing Adam Schiff, Shifty Skifty. Same thing they're accusing him of. And we did a segment a few days back, didn't we, where he got rid of the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Yes.
So there's all these things going on where Trump and Trump's people do seem to be draining the swamp to some degree. And so this is a big one, like the Federal Reserve. One of the things that this BBC article says, I mean, the BBC, the ultimate deep state shill machine, it keeps making the argument that the Federal Reserve must be independent. And so that's some sort of golden rule of economy. It's not. The United States did very well without it. It has only existed since 1913. A lot of people I've seen, American nationalists, God bless them, have said don't need a Federal Reserve at all. The golden age of the United States, you might argue, was before the Federal Reserve, even throughout the second half of the 19th century. The United States went from just a geographically large but not massively rich and powerful country to one of the beer moths, or one of the beer moths in waiting. It was before they had a Federal Reserve, right? In England, in Britain, the Bank of England is independent, but that's only since Gordon Brown, so i.e. not very long ago. And we did very well for hundreds of years without that being the case, for centuries, right? The Bank of England goes back to the 17th century, I believe. It's only in Gordon Brown's time, so the early 2000s, when or 2010s, no, early 2000s. So for centuries, been fine with the central bank, which wasn't completely independent. So that's not true. That's a lie. You can totally have a central bank which is controlled by the government, by a treasury department or something. It's just not true that you must have an independent body that can set interest rates. No. Okay. But the BBC would shill for that, because they just would.
Also, sorry to cut in, but what do politicians do if we keep divesting power and control away from politicians? They're being paid, extortionate sums of money to do sweet FA, right? Like, it's just ridiculous. This is just this managerialism. Well, we need a manager for that, and actually, that manager needs another manager that will do that management for that manager to that manager. And we just keep divesting power away from people, but the people at the top are still getting, extortionately high sums of money and salaries. This is what we see in the UK, for instance, right? it's absurd. It's a way for this for bloat. It's basically just bloat. But it's just a side topic there, away from the Fed. But it's in touch with this. If the politicians can't do it, if they can't control this, if the government can't control this, and it has to be let out to other people, then the government itself, it's another reason why governments, are delegitimizing themselves, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if they give away all their power to NGOs and independent third bodies and whoever, yeah, then what's the point of them? More and more so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so another angle about all of this, about the broader Trump arc of going after his enemies and draining the swamp. There's sort of a couple of things to say about that. Of course, his enemies, or the lefties, the Dems, whoever they are, will of course just shriek that this is just pure retribution. It's just pure revenge. It's just egoism. And Trump is, in fact, finally revealing himself as an autocrat in waiting, a type of tyrant, whatever. He wants to be king, all these things. He's the new Hitler, blah, 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 blah.
Fascist.
So there's that. The other side of that ledger is, of course, like the ultra Trump, the ultra MAGA loyalists. It's just like, no, go for it. Go for it quicker and harder, if anything. Yes, destroy your enemies. Crush them under your jackboot. Okay, so the real reality is that, it's kind of a bit of both, right? And if Trump's retribution against those that people like John Brennan, or people like John Bolton, or people like Comey, or whoever, or even like Lindsey Graham, or even Obama, or whatever, or the Clintons. There's a long list of them, isn't there? There's a long list.
Yeah.
Even if it is just sort of personal retribution, but what if it's just, though? It's both at the same time. It's both at the same time that removing this woman is just in his political interest, purely in his political interest, and the MAGA and Republican interest. But also it is the right thing to do. Okay, that's possible, that is the case. Now, it does seem a little bit shaky, the whole mortgage thing, a tiny bit. It's like going after Capone for tax evasion, right? It's that you know that you're sort of, it's quite difficult to actually pin them down and get them, but you can do it on some sort of technicality. Well, so be it. But the only problem with that is sort of the obvious one, again, kind of stating the obvious, is that if or when the Democrats get back in, because they will at some point, it may not be Newsom in 2028, but at some point they will get a government again, right? It might be that Buttigieg or whoever it is. It might be AOC at some point in the 2030s. Who knows? They will then do this even harder. In fact, Mayor Pete, I see him on stage the other day, see a clip on Rumble or somewhere, where he was just explicitly saying to his base, when we're back in power, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, we're going to run this thing till the wheels come off. In other words, we're going to use lawfare to annihilate all our, there'll be no holds barred. We'll do anything and everything when it's our turn next.
Yeah.
So they're already saying this. So it is a slippery slope. It's a worrying slippery slope, because I don't want the United States, the Republic, to implode. That's not good for the good, honest, hardworking people of the United States. It's probably not good for the world. I mean, there are concerns and worries about the hegemony of the world empire of the United States. But trust me, there's worse people and worse cultures that could be hegemons of the world, like the CCP, for example. Right? So I don't want the United States to descend into a tit for tat, ripping itself apart, because it will end up just like in Rome. It will end up with an autocrat, maybe even sort of a military dictatorship. At some point, the very fabric of their society is torn asunder, and there's no other option but to have a strong man come in and force sort of like curfews and stuff. And it will be a military man, it will be a general. and then who have to form like a provisional government and stuff. That's not good. That's not better than having a republic that functions. So yeah, just it's I think it's an interesting thing to see Trump do this. And in the short term, in the immediate, though, I can't help it. I'm sort of all for it. You're right. It also, right, I can't help my partisan leanings. It's like, yeah, get rid of this, yeah, drain the swamp if you can.
Yeah.
And hopefully a line can be drawn under it to some degree for a while. I mean, who knows what the future holds?